All right, we're recording now.
Look at that.
Yeah, I guess we'll just jump in.
You are listening to Real Men of Genius.
All right, everybody. Real Men of Genius, episode 6. Back in the living room with my co-host, as always, Matt Hendricks, and special guest Ryan Vargas is here.
Hello. It's fitting that it's episode 6.
Yeah.
I just thought about that.
It's true. That's true. Our first real driver guest, not just one of our friends.
Whoa, Jake's a real driver.
Oh, that's true. Sorry, Jake.
Man,
Jake's a late
disrespect.
model driver. But, yeah.
First NASCAR series
First fellow Xfinity Series
Yeah.
driver for sure.
teammate.
Yeah, teammate.
Yeah,
Damn,
about to say.
we're just checking all the boxes today.
Let's go.
Yeah,
Love
but
to see that.
yeah, Martinsville last week. How'd it go for you? It wasn't the best. For me.
I think we both had like equally just not great days.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Yeah, we fired off really good. Like I was really happy. I had a feeling we would kind of fall back a little bit at the start, which is kind of what happened. We started like 21st, fell back to like 24th, 25th. But I stuck right with Landon, stuck with you, and I was like, okay, because I know you started right in front of me, and when you shuffled in, like I was like, all right, I'm gonna try and stick with you, and then Landon got like in front of me, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna follow these guys. They've been here way many more times than I have, so I'm gonna try and just learn all I can, and that's really kind of where I shuffled myself in, and then after like the first or second pit stop, I go into 3 under yellow, and my pedal goes to the floor, and I'm like, uh-oh, so. We were fighting some type of brake issue there. I don't know exactly what all happened, but it's part of it. You know what I mean? It's like one of those things where once that happens, you just kind of stick after it until the end.
Yeah, brake issues are the worst. I feel like once they happen, you never get them fixed all the way. They're just kind of there, and you kind of just got to deal with it the rest of the way. I knew from the get-go, we weren't where we wanted, I wanted to be. We started really free, and then we made a bunch of adjustments to tighten up, and then I think the track went through a big swing. I don't know if you had the same thing, but I went from being really, really loose to really, really, really tight, and then we stayed out on a wave around, chose not to take tires or maybe change the balance, melted a bead, blew a right front, drug the sway bar arm off, went a bunch of laps down, and just kind of rode from there, which, it is what it is. You're going to have weeks like that, so...
Yeah, I've kind of it's one of those things where now this is the first time that I've really had this many races in one season. Mm-hmm. So I've kind of gotten used to the fact of you're going to have those days. You're going to have those days in racing. So it's okay, just shake it off.
Yep, let's go to the next one.
Yeah, don't sweat on it too much.
Yeah.
So
Matt, how was your life this weekend?
It was pretty good. I was in a wedding, so I was up.
That's right, you weren't there.
No, I was in South Bend, Indiana. So, I was doing all the stuff beforehand, and with the rental company that I chose, there was a manager special, and it was $130 for 3 days for a car altogether. I'm like, damn, that's a pretty good deal. So, clicked on it, didn't think anything of it. Get the email, getting off the plane from Hertz, and they gave me with the current gas prices, by the way, about $3.50 a gallon. 2019 Chevrolet Silverado. So I was bumping the Chevy Silverado to South Bend from Indy, which is probably about 2.5-3 hours drive. I was watching the race, half in the bag, at the wedding reception, and it looked like it was quite interesting. I caught the last lap of the truck race, and I said, if that's how the day is going to go, it's going to be quite the interesting ordeal at Martinsville.
I was surprised how clean the Xfinity race is, given how the Truck Series is and how aggressive the Xfinity Series guys are, especially in the mid-pack.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing because, I feel like, everyone, in the mid-pack all the way up to the front, everybody races pretty physical. And
yeah. Everywhere they race physical.
Yeah, no, you could be at Kansas and
literally,
into each other.
Literally, I was door slamming with, I would come out of 4 at Texas with LeBay. And he pressured high, and I was obviously when you come off the corner, it just kind of narrows up.
Yeah.
Just kind of really even, just hit each other, just regular racing.
Yeah.
Nobody's fault or nothing, but it's it's crazy how physical the Xfinity racing is. And at Martinsville, it was It just really wasn't any more or less
Yeah,
physical.
I think that might be wide because we're used to it. Like everybody
Yeah.
kind of knows
The limit.
what the limit is and what everybody else is going to do. So I feel like the truck series is a little less predictable because you have a lot of guys that don't race all the time in there, and that happened. And the truck series in Martinsville is always like that every single time.
100%.
This one was like pretty.
It was worse.
Yeah, this is like I've been to a good handful of Martinsville truck races now, like since I've moved out here from the West Coast, and that was the most carnage I had seen in a Martinsville race thus far, at least, of those that I've been to.
But it's normally like if you have the truck race and the Xfinity race on one day, one of them is going to be super tame and the other one's just straight chaos.
Yeah. I feel like they're always like everybody. It's like when you go into a race and you expect it to be really bad, it's never is. It's like the first Roval. I was thinking, I ran the first Roval race in an Xfinity car, and everybody's like, we are going to junk so much stuff. And then when it comes down to it, everybody's so conscious of like the possibility that you could junk everything in this race that they don't.
Well, like that's a lot like what's happening kind of now with like the Xfinity races at like the super speedways now too. I don't know if you noticed it, but like when we ride, like before it used to only be like 4, 5, 6, 7 cars I would ride. Now there's like 12 to 15 cars that are just riding the whole time.
Like 2 20-car packs.
So it ends up being 2 big packs instead of
you're not really dodging any danger. You're just,
like I noticed that really quick. Everyone's once they're racing conscious of trying to avoid stuff, they end up
making it worse.
either making it worse or just not having anything happen.
We're going to Phoenix this weekend. What are your expectations? What are your feelings going in?
I mean, I feel good. Phoenix arguably is not one of my best tracks. That's one of the tough things. I like the car we're bringing. I like that setup. I like every time I've driven that car, I've been more than pleased with it. Like the chassis, I like the way it works. I like the front end.
That's your 1.5 mile car.
Yeah,
right?
I like the geometry on it and stuff like that. Just how it acts. I'm able to have a better feel of the nose. That's the big thing. If I have a good feel in the wheel as to what's going on up front, I'm able to better diagnose what's going on. It's just overall makes it so much easier to diagnose.
Yeah, I feel that. I like my 1.5 mile car a lot, but it was going to be so much to try to switch that thing over, and luckily we didn't get too much stuff in Martinsville, a couple dings here and there, so we're taking our Martinsville car. But it was good, really good at Richmond, so I have full confidence in old Wayne bringing me a good piece. But you're big on like the preparation and iRacing stuff, huh? Like what do you do normally like before a race?
So, like me, like one of the things that I've kind of worked on this year, like Myatt Snyder is my roommate. So I try and lean on him a little bit. I lean on him just like for advice and stuff like that. But then I also have iRacing. I use iRacing a lot. I'll do a lot of B-Fix, a lot of laps, just to get the sight lines. A lot of these races without practice or qualifying, you're going into these places pretty blind. Like, I mean, you really think about it, 80% of the tracks I went to this year, I had never touched before. I only had 9 starts before this year. So 12 starts before this year. So that was really my big thing of trying to figure out, okay, what's around? Like, that's the big thing. Because iRacing, I mean, like, it gets you to like a point. Like there's a certain point of like how much it can help, and then the rest is like up for you to figure.
Yeah, it can almost hurt you. Like if you overdo it and like you really hone in on what iRacing is and you try to copy that on the racetrack, it can almost hurt. But like I said, the visual cues and things like that, especially like a road course, to me is a huge help.
Well, I remember like prime example of this. Like I ran Road America in 2019. I drove the 4-car, and I did bunch of races, bunch of laps at Road America to practice, and we only did like 2 laps of practice prior to qualifying for the race. This back when we had practice and qualifying, and so back then that was unheard of, doing that few laps. So like we had the least amount of laps all weekend and all that stuff, and we qualified pretty bad. We had someone hold us up during our lap, but we ended up, we ended up 18th that day. And that was my first road course race in an Xfinity car, second Xfinity race ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know that. I didn't know. What was your first one?
Iowa 2019.
Iowa, okay.
It was 17th at Iowa, 18th at Road America, and then we ran Phoenix, and I was like 25th or something like that.
Damn. I never got to run an Xfinity car at Iowa, so I am very jealous of
Man.
you on that.
That's so like I was big. I was a big proponent on the whole Iowa is not a short track thing. Like I was big on that when I ran the ARCA car there, the K&N car with Rev, just because of how much aero wash there is. Like you get behind a car and you're just washing the nose. But when I got in the Xfinity car there, it's a short track.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like if you go anywhere in an Xfinity car besides Daytona or Talladega, it's a short track. Like that's the way, at least the way I drive them. Like you drive off in the corner, you're on the brake a little bit, you're rolling, letting it turn. You're kind of like I said, we're real physical in the Xfinity Series. Like you might have to show someone the bumper, even like
At a mile and a half.
At Texas, dude, at Texas it's so hard to pass. I knocked a couple people out of the way, but I mean it worked out. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way these Xfinity cars drive on the mile and a half. Like there is a lot of off throttle time, and it's one of the things that I think helped me was like growing up racing at Irwindale in Kern, like with the late model package they have out there with the 604 crate engines, the 8-inch tires. There's a lot of off throttle time, but it's also a lot of momentum type racing.
Right.
Like a half mile in a 604 crate late model is a pretty big track.
Yeah.
For that type of racing. So it's very comparable to what I grew up doing. So I feel like whenever I go to the mile and a half, like I feel more in my own comfort zone versus going to a Martinsville or
I could definitely see that. Like especially at Irwindale. Like I've never raced there unfortunately, but watching the races, it seems like a lot of momentum, especially like in a 604 car. You're really rolling for a long time and you're things like that.
Yeah, and they like I said, they changed the 8-inch like groove tire. So you go from having a ton of grip to a tire that has a soft sidewall, has grooves in it, so it's not a slick. Like you're already losing a little bit of grip there. Basically, a street stock tire.
Right.
You're throwing it on a late model.
Yeah, I mean, I ran that. So I ran like IMCA style asphalt modifieds in Texas, and that's what we ran on. Was a grooved Hoosier, and like those things, they only weigh like a crate car weighed 2450, so they were really really light, stock front clip car. And they slid around a lot, but I ran some people's open motor cars, and those things just did not hook up at all. Like it was like a 50 pounds more they had to weigh, but like they could not hook up. 2,500 pounds, it was terrible. Like I used to run a crate motor. Like I went to Pensacola and ran the Snowball Derby modified race. No one there ran crate motors, but by the end of the race, like I could blow by them on the straightaway because they had nothing left, especially like a Pensacola because it just kills tires.
And it was funny to me because because in 2016 we actually ran slicks. Like in 2016, at like all the short tracks out there, they ran the Hoosier. I forgot what it was called, like 2040 or something like that. Hoosier 2040, I think that what it was, the slicks. And then they swapped to the 970s, the groove tires, the soft tire. And I had raced on that tire, racing street stocks and stuff like that. So I went from driving a car that ran those tires to a car that didn't, and then I went back to driving those tires again. So once we got back on it, it actually closed the gap in the field like immensely, and we started like winning and stuff like that.
Matt, you know about those groove tires, huh? Back in your racing days,
I used to groove tires back in the day
on dirt cars.
On dirt cars,
really?
Yeah, I used to work on a late model and would groove tires and stuff, but we couldn't talk about that because it was kind of a stock tire thing.
Yeah. So I wish we could do that in NASCAR, even though Xfinity doesn't race at a dirt track, even though they should. I wish they'd let you do that. Like have people grooving the tires, siping tires, soaking tires, whatever you want to do. I think they should open it up, at least for the dirt races. I think that'd be cool.
It's funny. Like I learned a little bit about that stuff. Like when I was racing street stocks, like we had because with Xfinity, like with street stock racing, you only go through you go through about 3 to 5 sets for a whole season. It's like a 12 race season. So it's like, okay, you don't use your tires a lot. But so what we would do is like to save like money on buying tires for practice and stuff. Instead, we'd run 2 races on our tires because there was a tire rule. You couldn't buy new tires every race, which I'm a fan of. I like that. So we'd run the 2 races and then we'd turn that set into a practice set and we would just simply add tire stick to it and practice on it.
Yeah, I know a lot of guys did that in Texas too, just because like if you're running on tires that have 200 laps on them, you're really not learning anything. Yeah. So if you soak them, you might cut a lap here or there, but like at least it gives you a better idea of what your balance is.
And it never hurt us. Like I said, it never like we going from that like the 200 lap old tire to the race tire, like as the 200 lap old tire that was treated to the race tire. It was nearly identical in grip. Right. So like if anything, it just gave me a better feel as to what we needed.
Yeah, I did a little tire soaking and go-kart stuff back in the day, and then when we used to have these exhibition races, like with legend cars, and like we did one, it was in Houston, Reliant Stadium, and it was like at a monster truck show. Soaked the hell out of them, dude. Soaked them so hard, because there's no tech, so I was like, screw it, we'll just soak them. And I was waxing them, but then I rolled the tire off the wheel with 2 to go.
Damn.
No, what the heck?
Yeah,
How do you do that?
Well, so like my dad set the tire pressures, and my crew chief told him to set them, and he thought, like, he told him 6 pounds in the left rear, but he put 6 pounds in the right rear. And then, but it was working though. But then, like, so at the edge of the arena, like where the dirt stops, I'd kind of been like dipping my right rear onto the concrete. And I did that one time just too hard to just rolled it right off the bead, and I was done. Old Justin Long got me in that one. I'll never forget that.
Were you using goat pee or what?
I don't know what. No, I think it was Dennis Lambert used to have some good stuff, because he used to cut Legends car tires, but he also had a big business in like go kart and like soak tires. So we're like, yeah, just cut us a set and go ahead and make them a little extra special for us.
We used to race we used to race Millbridge. I'm gonna probably give away a secret here. I don't really care. I don't race it anymore. We used to race in a series that ran Maxxis oranges, the hardest tire you could find. We found a guy to print us Maxxis orange decals, and we basically took pinks and blues that punch probably 20 less
That's
units.
a good idea.
And we'd put the Maxxis oranges on the right sides, and we'd just hit the wall like 3 or 4 times, just rub up on the wall and make it look like it was just scuffed. Because, you know,
Like fall off.
Yeah.
So it's like Max, and then the S's would be gone, and we could probably punch 20 units lower.
Damn.
And with a stock Predator motor, it's all grip. So that's how we won a couple races back in the day.
Once we get that micro, we're going to be bringing out that ingenuity.
It's funny because like we talk about that. Like I remember going back to like the late model stuff when they swapped to that groove tire. Like that was such a topic. Like. Because everyone lost grip, like all the big teams, like the big late model teams, lost all the grip that they once had. So everybody was fighting for whatever they could. So that I remember like the first like 4 races, that was the big topic. Is like who's going to start soaking tires?
Yeah,
and nobody ended up doing that.
Yeah, I feel like you can late model stuff. Like they're pretty strict about it. I remember Ricky Brooks would have none of that down in Pensacola, or Jack. Dang it, I know Jack. He was a tech man in Texas. He used to have this. It was like a Freon like tester, so you could like smell like if chemicals were in the air, and he would like go up to your tires, and it was like weird, like it'd make noises.
like a metal detector,
yeah, pretty much,
like
and
TSA.
And like he would check the outside, and then like he'd get a screwdriver and like press the valves to him and put it up to that. He was not playing around.
Wow.
He would throw you out for the dumbest things sometimes, but he was strict, and that's what you need in a tech man. It's got to be consistent. But if the ride height rule was 4 and you just ran a race and you were 3 and 15/16, you're out of there. No win.
I've had my experiences in tech.
I hate that. I hate like just the dumb things that'll get you thrown out.
Oh yeah, yeah. We decided a national title in the Whalen Series.
Really?
Because of tech.
Damn.
Yep.
I lost it wasn't really that big of a deal. Summer Stampede, Texas Motor Speedway.
Not our championship. Not our championship. It was someone else's championship.
Oh.
So it worked out.
Summer Stampede, Bandoleros, Bandits. All I needed to do was finish this race, and I was going to win the championship. But they tech clutches, and like I guess mine was just worn out enough where it wasn't thick enough anymore. Oh man, there was some discrepancies in tech. I could tell you that. There's people, because like 4 people got thrown out because really no one even knew that was a rule. I guess it was just overlooked, and everybody's ran their clutches forever until they broke. So my clutch pads were too thin, and then got thrown out, finished second.
My story is we were running Kern Raceway, late models, and championship night, won my first race. Like, heck yeah, like awesome. Well, they tech us, and they're taking a really long time, and we're like, what the heck? Like, what are they finding? So they're like, oh, your battery's wrong. I'm like, our battery? Like, what? And they're like, yeah, you have a 12-volt battery. They were like, you have a 14 or 16-volt battery. You have a 16-volt battery. You're supposed to have a 12-volt. We're like, we pull out our rule book. It says we could run this. They're like, no, we changed the rules. We're like, when did you change the rules? They're like, in the email. We're like, we're not on the emailing list.
Yeah.
They were like, well,
sorry.
And I'm like, so we won because of a rule that we didn't even know existed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are the worst. When it's something that like it's just legitimately just something. It's like, what?
Yeah, exactly. You have no idea, and then they just tell you, no, this is wrong.
I still got the trophy though.
I remember like being a little kid and like this other kid that I know came up to me and was like, you just got disqualified. And I was like, what are you talking about?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, I was like, oh man, that sucked. I was about to flip the plastic table. The guy had the clutch shoes on. I was so pissed.
Oh,
I love like in tech, like when someone is like on the verge of getting thrown out, I love the crowd it brings. Even like at NASCAR races, like if you see like I remember at Darlington when I ran that truck race there, the 2 truck was like close on weight and they had to roll around. And then like when people saw them rolling around, like everybody walked off away from their haulers and like crowded around.
Kind of
them,
witnessed.
Like, yeah, just waited to see what happened. But then they like I think they lost some water or something and they put water in it and they passed.
It got to a point at like the West Coast. The West Coast racing is so like tight. Like everyone is trying to find some new things here. It got to the point where at Irwindale they brought an actual chassis dyno.
See, I've heard of that too. Ricky
brought-
Brooks used to do that sometimes.
They brought a chassis dyno to the track because because that was when they first started combining the late model classes to where it became like the called like pro late models, something like that. That's what they have out there now, where it's like a mix of the late models and the super late models with like a restrictor on it.
Okay.
So people were trying to like complain about one car being more than the other and this car being that. So they were there until 4 a.m. That was when we left the track, was 4 a.m. because they were dynoing the entire top 6.
I bet the neighbors love that.
God.
Just dynoing that late.
It was so bad.
Like, damn, that would suck. Because Irwindale is kind of in a populated area, isn't it? Like,
no, it like it's one of those things where it sits on what should be valuable land, but because it's built on a landfill, literally, if you were to tear, like that's why the track hasn't closed, is because if you were to tear down the track and try and build something new on it, you literally couldn't, because it would just simply fall in on itself.
Yeah.
So
like
the track the track has literally been saved by just the bad ground, and that's why every year there's like a new bump.
Yeah, it's like Charlotte. Charlotte's rough as hell because of that. And
yeah.
I don't know if you ever ran the 5th mile out there.
I have not.
That thing is a motocross track.
I've watched it.
I remember I was like 12. This was one of my first Legends car races ever, and I came out here and raced. And I think they fixed it. They repaved it, but before going in turn 3, it's downhill. You're going downhill, and there's this big old bump, and like it's the seat that's on that simulator right there, or something like that. It was a Richardson seat, my first ever like real full containment. And like I went off in there, turned, and I hit the bump in the air, came down, and my head would go. It bounced off the headrest, and I did that every single lap.
Oh man, like
had a serious headache.
I went there because they do like a winter series there, and because the track is so difficult, because I used to live like a mile from Charlotte Motor Speedway. Like I had an apartment out in Concord. And so, like, whenever I heard, like, a legend car running, I was kind of like, okay, they're running the winter series. I'm going to go down there and, like, watch. Yeah. So I actually, like, would just, like, get up in the morning, like, on a Sunday if they're racing. I'd go down there and watch. Just sit up and watch, because I knew, because the track is so lumpy.
Yeah, it's entertaining.
Like, it was like, all right, who's going to flip today? And
yeah,
sure enough, there'd be a legend car, like,
they just had the world finals at Charlotte on the road course.
Yeah,
they like ran the Roval. I was like, damn, I wish I found a ride for that. Because I guess they'd come out and then, like, go and then run a corner around the quarter-mile track and come back.
So instead of, like, because they run
that extra little what-to-do over there, don't they?
Yeah, they do the like ET's head, and then they go through ET's arm. So I learned this from my roommate Brad. I don't know any of the corner names at Charlotte. I just go by ET's head because it looks like ET's head.
ET's head, huh?
Yeah. So you get out of ET's chin, and then you go and like hit his arm.
Yeah.
And you go like through his arm. But instead of going onto the oval where we go, they'll just make a right.
They go all the way down the front.
They'll go down the front and then do a right-hander on the quarter mile, and then go down pit road and turn in where we would go for pit road. Like, remember how how we turn left out of pit road there?
Yeah.
They turn left there.
That's cool.
It's pretty neat.
Yeah, man. Man, I feel like we're leaving you out because you're not a race car driver. But
I'm not a race car driver, but
I mean, you've run a B main at Millbridge and a DNQ series car, so that kind of
I got a pedigree, yeah.
Yeah.
I would say.
I have a pedigree. I want to do that. That D&Q series looks like fun.
Me and Matt have been trying to get out to Millbridge. Matt keeps saying he's going to get a micro and he's going to let me drive it, but
no, here it is.
That's what I heard.
It's like, hey, I want to get a micro, and he's like, yeah, let's do it. You buy it, I'll just come along and I'll drive it for you. I'm like, yeah, that sounds cool and everything, but A lot of contingencies
Matt,
that have to happen.
I have 3 races of micro sprint experience. You need me in that car.
So I have never driven on dirt ever. I had an opportunity to like hot lap a micro at Millbridge, and I had every like ounce of my body wanted to do it, but there was like the little cricket in the back of my head that said, "You're gonna junk this thing.
Yeah.
Don't do it." And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm probably just not gonna do that this time, because there was a legend car and a micro, and I drove the legend car, and I was okay, but like I didn't want my first legitimate laps in a micro to be at a place where the walls are literally like right there.
yeah.
So I didn't want to junk my buddy's micro.
I
Not
will
thinking
say-
I would, but
I will say a micro is much easier to drive, which is kind of surprising. Then like a Legends car on dirt just feels wrong. Like it feels out of control. But since a micro is a real dirt car, like once you get over there, like on the right rear, it feels like that's where it's happy.
Yeah.
Like when you're when you're driving around the pits, the whole thing, like when you're driving straight, it just feels like bound up, like something's wrong. But then as soon as you get to like right there, it's like that's happy. That's home for it.
I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah.
Like I said, I just haven't done any laps, and I didn't want to like go out there and just loop it or do one of those
Climb
things
the
where
wall.
like just like not that I'm saying that I'd go out there and junk the thing, but I don't want to like come out of a corner hanging it out just doop and
But are we
pay money.
taking your experience from your 3 micro races when you were 10 years old?
I was 12, and yeah, that's exactly where we're getting it from.
I feel
I
like
made the Tulsa Shootout A main, the biggest
Come
micro
on.
race of the year,
come
when
on.
I was 12.
That's actually impressive.
But that was also
Tulsa Shootout is not easy.
But
that
I
was
was
also
also-
12 years ago.
But I was also like in a really, really, really good car because Kinsey Rustin was the house car, and I was driving her other car.
Gotcha.
So I was like a Sawyer chassis house car almost. So I was really like, we had a really, really good car, and I ran like not that great in the A main. I didn't really know what I was doing.
But like you made the A, which is
Yeah.
like making the A is like an accomplishment.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But I'm at the point now, it's like if you're going to put 10 to 12 grand, maybe 15 into something, might as well just go big and, get a touring modified. Like dirt modified.
That's more expensive. Like, I'm telling you, it's more expensive than you think.
I know, but just to get a shit one, Just,
What's the point in that?
See, the thing is, if I were to like go mod racing, I would want to win.
Yeah, exactly. That's like I race Xfinity in mid pack because that is it's a privilege to be able to do that. It's the Xfinity Series.
oh, so now when you get out
But
of
if
the
I'm gonna
Xfinity
go
car-
run a modified at a short track, like I don't want to look like bad. I'm like,
Yeah.
this kid races Xfinity and he's running
Yeah.
12th in
Like-
a modified.
Like when I went out and ran, because I did like late model racing in 2019. Like when I was doing the part-time Xfinity stuff, my main thing was late model racing, and both cars that I drove on the East Coast and West Coast. Like both cars were winning capable cars.
Yeah.
And like, whenever I do that, I want to be.
It's like even if I was gonna run an ARCA race, like I'd want to run a good car in ARCA.
I was this close to doing the Vegas dirt race.
Really?
Yeah.
That would have been fun.
I tried really hard to get like something for it,
Mm-hmm.
but they wanted like a ton of money for a like
They
not
wanted-
so great car.
They want a lot of money for those races because they don't pay anything.
Yeah, and it's like, I just couldn't justify it, and I was like, no, like I can't sell sponsorship for this because it just doesn't make sense, and B, I don't have the money to pay for that.
That's like I've looked into doing like some of those TA2 cars at
Mm-hmm.
road courses, and oh my god, they want an arm and a
Stupid
leg.
money.
It's ridiculous.
It's cheaper to run TA1.
yeah, like the main thing.
The main, like the big boys, like the big
Yeah.
cars. It's cheaper to run TA1 than run TA2. From previous experience
yeah.
working within the TA
Really?
atmosphere.
Yeah, because the TA2 has become such a competitive
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Like there's 30 something TA2s, where in TA1 there's like 12.
Yeah, 12 or
Yeah.
13.
It's like a super late
Not that
model.
it's going from like a late model stock to a late
Yeah.
super late model. Like there's more late model stocks out there than
Yeah.
super. Well, I shouldn't say that, but
It
out
is
here,
regionally, yeah.
regionally,
I would say the competitiveness of TA2 is a lot higher than TA1.
Yeah, yeah.
Like there's 15 teams that can win in TA2, and there's like 3 or
Boris
4.
said is going to win in TA1.
I
and
mean-
you're just running a TA1 car for experience at that point.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Boris
I
said
do
gets
wanna-
that Monster Energy Dodge Charger or Challenger just screaming at Road America. That gets me fired up.
that stuff looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
So looking forward to Phoenix for both of you guys. I know it's a weird thing being, so you're in the field, but you're not a part of the playoffs. I know you guys probably have to talk about this a lot, but what is your mindset, not only going into a race that you have to qualify in, but just going on kill for a weekend, but you also have to be mindful of the 5 other cars out there that are chasing the championship. Well, I think there's one car that's
The 54
chasing
car
the owner's championship. So there's 5 cars that, are racing.
The 54 is chasing the owner championship.
Yeah.
They're in the championship 4 for that.
Yeah.
Same thing with the 38 in the truck series. I think for Cup, it's the 4 in it.
I don't know. I really don't think about that stuff that much. I was thinking, so after we had our troubles, the 18 car was coming, my buddy Daniel, and I'm like, it's like 10 to go. Our sway bar was so messed up at this point, and we were real slow. He's like, leader's coming. And I pulled up like 2 corners ahead. I was like, Daniel, please, for the love of God, win this race. I want you to win this race so bad. Just please go. And then sure enough, I let him go by. Like I lifted so early, just let him go on exit and everything. And then like 2 laps later, Kosh comes out, and I'm like, damn it, dude, this dude's cursed. But I hope he gets that championship this weekend. I'm really pulling for him.
I'd be cool with that. And I was in that. I was literally in that same boat because my whole goal in Martinsville was like, if I got to a point where like there was people coming that were fast, I was just gonna pull down the track and let them go around and then like tuck in behind. But once we got behind like we did, I just went like every time a leader came, I just went.
Yeah,
point, go.
Yeah.
take it.
I hate when they don't like acknowledge that either, and they just and they follow you in the corner. It's like, well, I tried to give it to you, so now I'm not going to do anything. It's like when you're trying to wave someone by in traffic, and they're like, "Don't go." It's like, well, I guess I'm just going to go now.
Yeah, it's that exact same thing.
Would you guys be okay with Hemrick winning the championship but not winning the race?
Yeah. I think like we talked about this way back in GoPro, but like everybody talks about the playoffs, like saying consistency doesn't matter and this and that, but I think like Matt Crafton proved that it does because he won a championship without ever winning a race.
And what I hated about that is when Matt Crafton won, they were like, "Oh, he hacked the system. He hacked the playoff system. He proved that it's illegitimate." It's like, no,
not really.
Not really. He kind of just proved that it's like, yeah, I understand. Like, there's some cases where it's like, oh, well, how'd that guy make it or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you're one of the final 4, you had to go through an entire, for us, 33, Cup 36, Truck 20 race season.
Yeah.
And be there.
Exactly.
At that
It's
point.
like people saying that like that's not right. Well, it's like, what do you want them to do? Go back to the old point system? And then it is like Matt Kenseth won that championship, and I think he won 1 race, but he was just consistent all year.
Yeah.
And won the championship. The only thing that will suck is like if Larson doesn't win the championship because he's been consistent and he's won like a million times.
Yeah.
It's going to be so sad when they've already been on a 40-lap run and a caution comes out with 20 to go.
And then it's just that.
And Larson's leading the race. And he's just, that's it. It's done.
Well, Phoenix is a place you can pass pretty good though. It's not like Martinsville.
Yeah, but you need
Texas
so much to go your way.
I'll say this. When I ran Phoenix the first time, because I ran there in 2019, that was before they had the PJ1 up there. So if you got up there, you were like trying something.
Yeah.
And I remember because we restarted like 21st and everyone went through the dog leg, like all hustling, bustling. And then when they get to turn 1, I don't know if you noticed this when you raced there, but everyone checks up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Like really quick. So I remember I ducked out to the outside and just leapfrog like 4 rows of cars.
Yeah.
They'd eventually get by me.
Yeah.
But I would leapfrog some people.
Yeah, it's because the top wasn't like very popular.
It was not.
I remember watching, I don't know who it was. It was like Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and someone else, and they were all racing, and they was actually running the top. I was like, damn, I've never seen that there. But then now it's like you have to run the top on a long run.
Yeah.
And the only way you can pass is move them or pack air or just slide job, like massive slide job into turn 1, which can bite you in the ass quick. I watched a lot of people do that in the spring. Like they go to slide someone and they still got like that foot on their quarter that they're not clear, and then they just go open the fence, and then I just go by on the bottom.
Man.
You guys got champion predictions?
Not really. The trucks, I don't know. The trucks, I think, is going to be the 4 or the 2. Championship.
The two isn't raced for it.
Holy shit, he's not, is he?
Yeah, no, the 21.
Yeah.
And probably the 4. I cannot believe he didn't make the championship.
Yeah. I mean,
that's like a Kevin Harvick last year.
Yeah, literally, that's pretty close to it. Like, that's one of the comparables. For truck, I do got the 4 just because of sheer just
They've been fast
consistency
all
this
year.
year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to bet against them, but they're all really good as well. So
Yeah.
it's like it's one of those things where the championship 4 has been such a like a polarizing type thing every year. Like when Logano won the championship, I don't think anybody had
No,
Logano.
no one.
Like,
had it
granted,
on their
he
radar.
was still very consistent. Like,
Yeah.
like everyone's like, oh, it's points format. It's like, if you look at the full season points, he was still
Yeah, he
in
was
the
there.
top 4. Like,
Yeah.
he was in that group of drivers. So, like, he was there legitimately. But nobody had him on their list of, like, going out there and doing what he did.
Yeah. No, I think the trucks, I feel like I'm leaning pretty heavy to the 4. The Xfinity, I have no idea. And the Cup, I have no idea. Because Hendrick's been good, but Gibbs is so good on short tracks like that.
Gibbs is good on the flat, like the
Yeah.
1 mile type tracks.
Yeah, and then like they're really good at like a Richmond, and I kind of somewhat can compare Richmond to Phoenix.
I'm going to go on a limb and say Truex for Cup.
You think so?
Yep.
That's
Just
good
because of
choice.
his, just because of his,
Didn't he win there in the spring
he
too?
won there in the spring as well. But his like ability on the 1 mile kind of like flat / kind of banked like
Yeah.
momentum oval like that, he's just consistent,
Yeah.
like really consistent. And I know Larson all around is a great driver, but that is one of his like Achilles heel is those
Yeah.
smaller type tracks.
That is true. He hasn't really been. They've been Hendrick's 1.5 mile champ right now, like this year
Yes.
have been all year.
I think you're overlooking something. Larson's team has had the most amount of time to build a Phoenix car.
That's true.
And I
Right.
actually told you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was going to bring up that nugget. They've had the most time to kind of,
Just polish
play
that
with
thing out.
everything.
Yeah.
Guarantee they do not pass tech the first time around.
No.
I don't think anyone.
I don't think any of those 4 will pass.
I don't
that
think
the first time
anybody
around.
will pass the first time
Yeah.
around. Like I fully expect us to like not pass the first time around
I mean,
because like
especially Cup last race with those cars, might as well just try like the craziest stuff.
Oh,
and see
we're
if we
not
can
trying
get through.
anything crazy. We're just trying to get through tech.
Yeah. Well, even when that happens, like dude, at Martinsville, the past few weeks, I've like become a fab guy at the racetrack. I've been like grinding bond. Like the C post on our car this weekend was just not right at all, and I had to like take the shark fin off, get the DA sander out,
yeah.
peeling the rat back. I felt like I worked for Joe Gibbs because they all do that on that right rear corner.
Yeah.
Every single week. But yeah, and then the week before that, our deck lid was wrong, so I had to like move that over. But we'll probably pass this weekend. I hope we do.
That'd be nice.
I pushed through tech with the 51. I do pit support with them, and yeah,
Best tear off.
Were you
guy in
there?
the
Were
West.
you there on Sunday for the
Mm-hmm.
Cup race? Oh, okay. So you were doing that.
yeah. I do like tear offs and water bottle exchanges.
I've seen that.
Yeah, which is kind of fun.
This guy's not paying attention at all during the race. He just sees the car slow down and he comes over the radio and says, "Hey, do you need a water bottle?" to
That's
tear
not
off?"
true. I pay attention. I might not pay attention to us that much. I pay attention to like the race for the lead. Like I was definitely. I mean, the end of that Martinsville Cup race was pretty wild.
That was a cool race. That
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed that race a lot. That was fun to watch. The
I always think
NASCAR
it's-
fan in me was satisfied.
I always think it's crazy how like in those really long races like that, how the line gets so weird at the end.
Yeah.
Like, did you notice how high Hamlin was running?
Yep.
Like he was running way up the hill, and it was working. I mean, Bowman was faster, but I mean, it was working good enough to be leading for as long as he did.
I'll say this too. That, like this weekend at Martinsville was the first time I've noticed how a rubber buildup, like in the line, like when the line gets really black, how that affects the handling. Like
Yeah.
like I'm still so green to a lot of this stuff. So whenever I've never been on a track long enough to feel the black, like the rubber buildup on a line do that because we haven't had practice or qualifying.
Yeah,
But for some reason, the track took pretty good rubber this weekend.
it's probably just because the trucks were right before us too.
Yeah, so that helped us.
Yeah.
Because we got in and, like, I remember, like, 50, 60 laps in the race, I would have my right front on, like, this. It, like, builds up more as the corner went on. And, like, halfway through the corner, I got my right front on and it took off the nose. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, definitely like there. I mean, anywhere with concrete, I feel like does that. Bristol, Dover, Nashville this year was kind of crazy how the line moved. I was so surprised with that because Nashville notoriously was locked down on the bottom, but you started moving way up
But
there.
That resin.
I've been curious about that too. I don't know. Have you figured out if they're using resin or PJ1?
They're using resin.
They're using resin. Okay.
They're using resin.
Damn, that really. I'm stressed out about qualifying and like what I want to do in qualifying.
I remember watching qualifying the last time they did qualifying, they were all on the bottom.
Yeah.
From what I saw.
So there's,
But I mean, that was PJ1, and PJ1 sucks early. But I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know. But then the ARC races before us too.
different compound.
Yeah, I don't know. My head is a pretzel on that one.
So you guys got two different strategies going into the weekend, right, for practice and qualifying. right? You're probably going to be more race setup.
Not really. I mean,
Really?
I'm still focused on
Pretty close?
qualifying. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to have to rely on a provisional because we're not in the most great spot either.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you want to be able to qualify your way in. Like my goal is to have a good starting spot and just get in and do everything I need to do and do it right. Like you can't. There's no hanging out this weekend for me.
So would you say, Bailey, you are going straight for practice? It's all just Q trim.
Not really. I mean, we don't have the tires to do that. First off, like, I mean, we might go, we'll fire off, do our runs on our practice tires, and then we might fire a Q run. I haven't really talked to Wayne about this yet, but I figure we might fire a Q run and then just keep those scuffs for the race. They'll have 2 laps on them or whatever. So, I mean, I've done that before.
I asked about it too. Like we're kind of just trying to see. It's basically one of those things where you're going where you're kind of going with the flow in terms of like how you go about practice. Because like I've kind of learned every time we've done like a practice, like even back in 2019 when I was doing it, like you kind of don't really know necessarily if you're doing a mock run until you see what you have.
Yeah, right. Like if you think like, damn, I need to do a mock run, or like, oh, we're chilling, we're really good, we really don't need to. We'll just go. I mean, tape up, qualify, track bar down, let her eat.
Plus, it's got to be stressful, too, because it's only, an hour-ish?
50 minutes.
50 minutes for all that stuff.
I'll say this. Thank God. I don't like too much practice. I like as much as... I'm in a weird bind because I'm someone who needs practice just because of, like, my overall lack of laps and experience. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I'm one of those guys that tends to adjust out of the ballpark.
Yeah, that's pretty easy to do. I feel like in NASCAR stuff, it just because the track changes so much through practices too. So like if you're just constantly chasing that, or your tires are getting older, or whatever, you can really chase your tail with that.
Yeah.
And then you guys are qualifying during the day, and then racing
2 p.m. Yep.
Mid-afternoon to night.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit of a interesting.
Yeah, I was actually looking. Sunset out there is 5:37.
Ooh,
and we race at 5:30, so we're gonna be blind for 20 laps, and then it should be about nighttime. And I've never actually run a true night race out there.
Yeah, this is like the first time. This is like the first time I've had like a legit night race there, which makes me happy because that sun down the back in the spring was bad.
It gets bad, and then like it starts reflecting off the PJ1 too, so you can't see anything, and it's so dusty. Once your like tear off gets dirty.
Oh yeah,
it's so bad.
I mean, you could hardly see the car in front of you.
Yeah.
Like I remember coming out of 2 when everybody was like 18 wide on coming out of 2, and I was just like, no, no.
I'm pumped for that first start or restart or whatever it is when everybody just shoots out. I love that. I love doing that. I don't know why.
It's so fun. It's fun to be a part of.
Yeah.
Like it's fun, especially when you're someone that's making moves instead of being.
Yeah, if you're like the aggressor in the situation, it's much more fun. And when you're getting passed, it's terrible because you don't know what to do about it.
Yeah, because you're literally like middle, top, bottom of 5 or 6 wide.
Yeah, you got 3 bottom, 2 top.
Yeah,
it's like
hold on.
I'm just gonna stay right where I am.
Yeah, just kind of lock the wheel.
I mean, as a pit crew guy, I kind of hate Phoenix just because I always seem to be put in the boxes that are in the big swooping corner. So I can never get my rhythm right because I'm used to seeing it. I'll pick up tires at 10 away and I'll be ready. But at 10 away, I'm looking around the corner and I still can't even see the car.
Yeah.
And it's always tough for you guys getting straight in the box because what you think is straight in the box is, halfway out the box usually. And it's a pretty tight pit road. And because of the way they got the concrete out there, it's super slippery. So for the teams that I work for, we don't have PJ1. So I try to just throw some Coke down on there and see if it'll stick.
Yeah.
Never usually does. Never does, actually.
I almost junked a car on pit road there, actually, Cup debut.
Really?
Yeah, because I was in that corner, and I'd only raced there. I raced there like one time before. No, I raced there a couple times before that. But anyway, I went to pull in the pit box, and I guess I just yanked it too hard. It was my first time ever pitting in the corner right there. And like I pulled it really hard. It was like, whoa. And then I was able to kind of wrap it back around. I almost cold trickled it into the inside wall there because I wasn't paying attention. And those Cup cars are weird. I think just because they're so low, they turn so much better like that I just was not expecting that.
I was gonna I want to ask because I know you've done some of that, like obviously like in limited capacity, but like what's the biggest difference that you feel from like the Xfinity car to what you've experienced in the Cup cars?
Not
Like turning wise.
Short track, they just handle, like they turn a little bit better. I mean, the short track package now, especially with the short spoiler, it's pretty much the exact same, but your air, like your downforce pan on the bottom is huge. Like, ours stops right at the sway bar tube.
Yeah.
That one goes back like almost underneath the motor. It's
Oh.
massive. It's like that wide and like that long. So it's huge. Yeah. So they turn a little bit better. And then obviously down at low ride height, they're really good. My first year ever running Cup cars, the 750 package still had big splitter, big spoiler, and right side window, and that was fun. Like Bristol in one of those cars was so fast. And then also I was bummed I didn't get to run Dover, but Dover looked dangerous. It would make the Xfinity cars look like they were under caution when they were at speed.
So I remember like when I ran the K&N East Series, the K&N East Series in 2018, that was Cup was still using the small spoiler. Xfinity was obviously what they have now. And I remember we were the fastest cars on
the K&N
track.
cars fly there.
We don't lift.
Not at all.
Like, so I was top of the board in practice for a long time. We went on like 10 lap scuffs. So someone put on, like another like 5-6 cars mocked up and like passed us. But on 10 lap scuffs, not mocked up, no nothing. My lap, I lifted probably 12% off the gas.
Really? Damn, that's crazy.
Like getting into 15%, just getting off the gas just to kind of breathe it.
Yeah, just to get that first initial turn.
Yeah, and then you get in there and it just sucks down because the right side of those ARCA cars, they're basically like a truck. It drives so well. I remember my lap would have put me pole of the Xfinity race by like 3/10.
Really?
And would put me 18th in the Cup race.
Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I remember
in a
like
K&N car.
Even those cars make the Xfinity cars look slow. When you're in the pits, you're in the garage, you're watching the corner. Like, you get out of your Xfinity car, you're watching the Xfinity cars go, and then a K&N car, like back when the Cup cars were like that, it looked ridiculous when the Cup cars were going. Like, everybody's thinking in practice, like, yeah, we gotta like beef up like ball joints and lower control arms because they're just gonna break. There's no way they can go however many laps or whatever it was going that fast because they were hardly lifting. God. It was insane. Like, I remember watching SMT. I think BJ was driving one of Rick's cars, and it was like full throttle, out of the gas, full throttle, and then just like ridiculous.
That just has that like that makes me cringe up a little bit, honestly. Like that's especially at Dover.
Yeah, I love Dover though. Qualifying an Xfinity car at Dover, the most fun thing in the world. I started in Park Sieg's car there one time, and they had a really, really good motor in it and it, like a serious qualifying setup in it.
Really?
And I was on 20 lap tires. We weren't having to qualify in. And they're like, just take it easy or whatever. And I was like, honestly, no. I'm going. Yeah. I didn't tell them that, but I was like, if I'm here to start park, I'm at least going to have fun while I can. And I qualified like 19th on 20 lap tires. But that thing was flying, dude. And like, it would turn so good. And every time I come off by the wall, like, over the bump, which is like my favorite thing.
So, fun fact, this year at Charlotte, that was my first time ever qualifying, ever, on a 1.5 miles.
Really?
Ever. And so, that, like, I had never experienced qualifying trim.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Serious.
that. It's... Because we tried to do one in that practice session, the only practice session we had, but it started raining. Remember, it started raining?
Yeah, that's right.
So we didn't get a lap to practice because we drugged the nose really bad for the first 2 runs. So we were like 38th on speed.
Yeah.
And we loaded up for the night, and they were like, well, just go for it.
Yeah.
And I left so much on the table, and we still qualified 20th.
Yeah.
Like, that was the most wild thing to me, was just experiencing.
Honestly, Charlotte qualifying when you're hooked up is gnarly. I guess because it's so bumpy, but it just keeps gripping. Like, the 3 and 4, you're like, go. But it just keeps turning.
Yeah, I was, like, so unprepared for just the sheer amount of grip. Like, I was probably out of the gas for 2 car lengths too much. Like, and that's probably what cost me being any further up.
Yeah.
So we had a decent spot, like, where we lined up in qualifying. So I could have probably tried harder, but
I'm pumped to go back qualifying next year. That's like, I haven't had the best luck qualifying this year. When I was running the 74 car, we qualified in at a couple places, but like we struggled. I mean, when I went to Charlotte, I didn't know what I was doing as far as when I wanted to put the car in qualifying trim, and we had bring from home tires, and I was really tight. So I just kept freeing it up. But then by the time I taped off and everything, I was just free as I could be. I went off in turn 1 and almost crashed. I was still in the gas, turning in the corners, went whoop, and I was looking out the right side window. I was like, well, I guess I missed this race. And I was able to get it back, but it sucked. But like when it's good, like I qualified 15th there in one of Mike's cars a few years ago, and that thing was so it was so hung out, the yaw, and it was perfect. Like I was dragging the left rear fender on the tire. Like I was afraid I was gonna blow a tire because it just immediately, when I really loaded up in turn 3 and 4, it just filled the car with smoke. I'm like, oh my god, stay in the gas, and it still qualified really good. Old RB had that thing hooked up then.
Man, yeah, it's a shame to see what's happened over there. I mean, Harmon came back this week. Like,
no, I was pumped to see him out there. I was happy to see him at the driver's stage.
Yeah, that was cool.
He definitely was happy to be there too. You could tell he had a big smile on his face.
Oh, that's ought to be cool.
Yeah,
that's got to be so cool.
I mean, Reddit loves Harmon.
I feel like everybody does. There's not too many haters except for maybe Michael Annette.
But I mean, there's. Bruh. I mean, like I've always had, like, going from being a fan like in 2016, 2017 to now being in it now, because like I had never been in Xfinity cars and stuff like that. I hadn't even been in North Carolina until 2018. So seeing it from the outside, now being a part of it, like it's you gain so much respect for these guys, like in the mid pack and stuff like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Mike, Jimmy Means, to an extent Carl, like they're all just trying.
They're just surviving out there.
It's awesome.
I mean, next year, what, 50 confirmed entries for Xfinity-ish?
No, dude.
No.
I think that is so exaggerated. I think
Yeah.
people are counting all of the additions to the field, but I feel like there's a lot of people exiting as well.
Yeah.
I think the teams are downsizing.
Gibbs is going to 3 for sure.
Gibbs is going to go to 3. I don't know what the 22 car is going to do, or the 98 car for that matter.
RCR is expanding to 2.
Yeah,
that's true.
But that's a case of just one additional one. Like we're losing a Gibbs car in exchange for RCR.
I think it'll just make that mid pack just way more aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
be.
That's the biggest thing I've noticed this year is the mid pack has been very competitive. Like I went from 2019 and 2020 to being consistently top 15, top 20, like every week, to now having to fight to kind of be in that.
The mid-pack Xfinity is some of the best racing that goes on all weekend, and it just doesn't get the shine it deserves.
Yeah, it's a shame we don't get to see it.
Like it genuinely is some of the best racing. Like I've never, like every single race I do, especially at the mile and a half. I love this Xfinity car at the mile and a half. I've never had more fun racing in my entire career than I have had driving these Xfinity cars.
Yeah, they're especially now with all like the stuff you got going on with like the rear ends and like I mean everybody's doing it, everybody's got it kind of moving around a little bit, and you just get hung out and you're digging. It's so much fun.
Kansas was a very fun race for me.
Kansas was a blast.
That was a very fun race. We had an issue on the final stop, but the entire race we just were like, our car would just work on the long runs. We would take off decent too. Like Texas, we struggled short run. Kansas, we finally found like something that worked on the short run. So I was able to start passing cars like early and then maintain that throughout the run, which made me really happy.
Yeah.
It's been a lot of like learning for me on that front, just figuring out exactly what works on these tracks.
Yeah. And then the restarts too. Like it took me a long time to like really learn how to just not care on like just be an ass really, because everybody else is. Yeah. So you just got to learn to be that aggressive guy too.
I've yet to cross that threshold, honestly.
And
I got to get better at it. I got to get better at it.
That's one thing I've worked on this year. Like I told myself, I really want to get better at being aggressive on restarts and just putting the car where people don't think I'm going to. Because honestly, it gets to the point where if you're aggressive enough and you just throw it in the hole that's like open and people aren't really paying attention, it almost like not scares them, but it like kind of spooks them, like, oh shit, and then they lift and you just keep going.
Yeah.
Like,
I did that to someone at GoPro today.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna put my car there. You make the decision if you want to wreck yours or not.
And I'll tell you this, it feels good when you kind of like nail a restart.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a few this year where it like just was like, okay, that's in the notebook now.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that I'm gonna remember.
You get a good one, like you're pushing the guy to the line. As soon as you get to the line, you pull out, you make something happen, and then whatever happens in the corner happens. try to make the best out of each little situation that happens.
We had that happen at Atlanta, the second one, the July one this year. We were out of tires. We had to take our tires early to kind of keep ourselves in a good spot. So we were out of tires, and there was that late caution with like 12 to go or something like that. So when all the leaders pitted, we didn't want to like go out there and just be the leader. So what we did is we came in, put scuffs on, and took fuel like the usual, and then went out. So we lined up like. Sorry, no, we didn't do scuffs. We just did fuel. We went out and lined up 12th, 11th or 12th, and I lined up right behind the 9 car, and I timed the restart to where like I was a half car length behind him and just rolled up to him. Yeah. I mean, you know what I'm talking. Like when you just roll up to someone and then right when they go,
racing trick.
yeah, like you just kind of roll up, and then right when he went, I was pretty much locked onto the. It was either the 9 or the 7, but I was just pretty much locked onto him. No, that's a good feeling.
Getting those timings like perfect. It's just like, all right, that was nice. Like you know in your head like that was perfect.
Yeah.
Atlanta sucked for me the second one. I had a really, really good car, but we didn't have any sponsors on the 74. So like stop 2, like, yep, sorry, we're out of tires. I was like, oh my God. And then I'm running in the back, like, what happened? What's the car doing? I'm like, I don't have tires. What do you think is happening? We're in Atlanta, and I'm on 40-lap tires, and everybody else is on stickers. What do you think the problem is?
Oh, man. See, it's tough. Like, we were decent that day. We started out as a 31st place car, and then we ended the day as a 19th to 21st place car, which is good. Like, we consistently gained and adjusted, but because of that strategy call, we ended up 14th.
Yeah,
which is good. Feels good when you like. Kinda,
get that good strategy. That's like Texas or no, what Vegas this year. Wayne called a short pit, and we ended up finishing 13th. And it was like we almost finished 11th. Like if I could have just held on, I wasn't gonna hold on. I was like Ty Gibbs and Brett Moffitt on new tires. They passed me at 2 to go. I'm like, well, I tried all I could. I wasn't gonna hold.
Yeah.
Not the 54 car off, especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, those strategy calls feel good. I've like gotten to the point where I really just don't want to be involved in that at all, because every time I try to make it, like on the 74, I kind of called the race for myself. Every time I try to make one of those calls, I was wrong. And so I just told Mike, I was like, just do it. Like, I don't care if it's right or wrong. I'm just not going to make the decision, because then if I make a decision and I'm wrong, then I'm pissed and I'm just mad
you
at
just feel
myself.
bad.
Yeah.
You feel bad because then it's like all the work you did just feels like you just threw it all away.
And it was like the first Atlanta this year, we put on, so the truck tires were like a year older date code, and trying to save money, we bought some of those, and they were stickers, but I lost a lap at the end of stage 2, like 1 to go, lost a lap. I was like, damn.
That's the worst.
And like, I think I was racing with Landon, and the leader passed him, so he got the lucky dog, and I'm stuck a lap down, and they were like, you want to try to take a wave around? And I'm like, we're at Atlanta, no way. Like, it's just not going to happen. Go on turn 1 after the restart, immediately crashed. They immediately crashed. I'm like, oh my God, now we're still stuck a lap down. And I just could not get the lucky dog for the life of me. But
that's
whatever,
the worst feeling.
Learn. Sucks that my last year at Atlanta went that way. Or the old Atlanta now.
Yeah.
I don't know what that place is going to be like next year. I'm kind of excited to see. It is going to be scary. If they run the current Xfinity package there with new asphalt and that much banking, we're going to be flying. It's going to be like
Daytona.
202.
Yeah, like a 200 plus into turn 1 and 2 or 3.
If they run this exact package with the amount of grip that I would expect that track to have, we will be hitting at least 201.
I don't think we'll lift. I don't think we'll lift at all. I mean, you barely lift to Texas 3 and 4. So I think it'll be similar.
I'm kind of with you there.
I mean, the cars have a lot of grip.
I'll say this. I never got to experience Texas when it was fresh.
Yeah, so my first ever Xfinity race.
Nope, go back.
What do you mean?
First practice session.
Oh, yeah, first practice session. I spun out. Whatever.
All the way down the back stretch.
I did.
No.
Yeah, so it was BJ's car. And
While his boss was following him.
BJ was right behind me, too. And so I tried to let the 3 car go, and they told me, like, do not get in the gray area. And BJ's cars, the way they were set up, they really moved around in the back if you lifted, like, abruptly. Mm-hmm. So I did that, just not thinking about it, trying to let the 3 car go, and I was like, oh, and I got into it, and then I was like, all right, no grip. Ease back into the gas, and I was like, woo. And I just spun. I got to here, straightened out, and then it was like one of those points where you're just still chasing it, but you're kind of straight, and then it turned this way, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna hit the outside wall. And then I literally spun all the way down the back straightaway, and BJ is just like, I'm doing this all the way down the back, and he's just doing this right behind me, and I'm like, oh my God.
He's watching you spin his expensive race car, and he's
and
just
BJ
like
came in, he's like, what the hell were you doing up there? I was like, yeah, I don't know, I messed up, sorry. He was pretty pissed, but he got over it because I was pretty fast that weekend, so he was happy about that.
Yeah, that's good.
But I finally, like BJ told me, he's like on new tires you can hold it wide open through 3 and 4, and like stage 3 I just got a new set of tires on, and I finally mustered up the courage to just hold it wide open through there, and it was like scariest thing I've ever done in a race car. Like I was like, oh my God, but like I was like almost having to put my left foot on top of my right just to not take it off.
That's how remember like going back to like Dover and the K&N car. That's how it felt. Yeah, that's exactly how it felt.
It's like it should not work, but it just does. And it's just doing this because you're down by the white line at Texas, and it always wants to jump around.
Well, because now the track obviously it's like on year 4 or 5 of its like
definitely
existence.
Lost a lot of grip.
It's lost a lot of grip. So like even in the PJ1 when the PJ1 was so grippy, you still had to like.
I can tell a difference from this year to last year.
Yes.
Like last year in the PJ1 fall race, I would like go 50% and then right back to it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But now it's like all the way out, back in it, lift over the bump, back on it.
Yeah.
And then go.
So what I did was like I would like roll, like I would get into it and then I would 50% it, and then I'd feel the bump, and the way my car worked, it would like I'd hit the bump and then it would almost like lock in, and then I would just
see mine would just
throttle.
Like it would just jump to the side. Like, cause
you're doing a lot for our listeners that only listen.
I was gonna say,
if y'all are listening, or if y'all are listening on Apple Music, I'm just making a lot of gestures. You should check out the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, like I almost crashed a car there last fall doing that because I was wide open and I hit the bump wrong, and it was like, I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pile into the fence. And 5 cars passed me. I'm like, well, that's great.
Both fall races this year, I got knocked out of the groove. Both fall races last year and then this year.
Really?
So last year when I was doing the TikTok car, I got out like on the restart. I don't know who was inside me. It might have been, I don't know, but someone was inside me and they like washed up, and then it washed me up. And then in the PJ1, you know this, it builds up so much. Like once you dip right side, you're just holding on. And I mean, I was a hair away from the outside wall.
Yeah. Turn 3 and 4 at Texas is like the sketchiest turn on the like whole NASCAR schedule, I could say.
But when you get in a good rhythm, you can make up a lot of time.
Yeah, if you can just if your car is working right and you could, keep that throttle time, it is one of the biggest places to make time because it's just all throttle time there. Like I mean, it's really all mile and a half that way, but since there's so much to be had in 3 and 4 at Texas, it's huge.
Like 1 and 2 is very important to set up for that corner, but if you're not fast through 3 and 4, you're just not gonna have a good day. Like
it's easier to pass in 1 and 2.
Yep.
So if you can get beat in 3 and 4, like you can't pass in 3 and 4. No. It's really hard.
No, you have to set up the pass in 3 and 4 and then make it in 1 and 2.
Yeah, I was racing with Moffitt like really hard, and he was faster than me. But like, he just kept packing air on me off of 4, and I'm like, I'm going to knock the wall down eventually. I know I am, because it just kept getting tighter and tighter. And then it got to where it was like tight, then loose. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to crash this car.
Oh, man, that gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, but I don't know. I love racing like that on mile and a half. Just like being like, like Kansas was the same way. If you could you kind of split that top seam and just pack air, they just eventually just start doing that. And they just.
My car worked really good in the middle.
You're in the middle?
I ran the middle all day. Like we caught the 4 car, the 10 car, and that 44, like all on a line. We caught them running the middle groove. Like I would get in that lane, probably 3 laps into a run, and just kind of stay there.
Yeah. See, I was running like Darlington. It was the first time I ever ran Kansas like this. I go off in the, like especially turn 1, I go off in the corner, split the seam, wide open, go up to the wall, lift again, split the seam, and kind of like 50.
Oh, so you kind of like would gas it up and then
back out, which is I've never done that at camp, but it was working. Like I went off in there the first time, I was like, oh, I lifted way too early, back in the gas really hard, and then I could hold it on a short run. I could hold it wide open and then turn it back down.
So now I'm learning something.
But then later I'd like roll back out, split the seam again, de-wedge, and then go.
That makes sense. I like Darlington for that reason. I kind of like the.
I've sucked at Darlington every time I've gone there, and I don't know. It must be me at this point. I don't know.
I've had my luck at Darlington hasn't been great, but I love driving that track.
It is fun. It's just fun to slide. You're sliding all over the place the whole time.
The only thing I don't like is when you're passing cars, because like I know they like highlight it on the broadcast a lot, like how in the Cup Series, like if you have like if you're here on someone, like you're passing someone, you're at their door, like just nose ahead. Like in the Cup Series, they'll kind of like okay, let you in, but like in Xfinity,
they don't let you in.
Xfinity they don't let you in. Like
You're
I
like-
got in underneath the 07, like 8 straight laps got underneath him, and he would not let me.
Yeah, turn 1 is so sketchy too. Trying to pass and you're too wide through there. 'Cause
And I
you're
ain't gonna
like-
go in there and
Yeah.
do nothing like that. Like I'm not gonna go in there and risk because it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
at that
yeah.
point, you know.
Matt, you got anything to add?
Yeah, what do you guys got for off-season plans? I know we're at the very end of the schedule
Sleeping.
here. Yeah.
Well, when you get that micro, I'm gonna drive it at Millbridge.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hang out.
Hey, if I can put it in your garage.
My bathroom, guest bathroom. That's the garage. If we can fit it in there, we'll take it apart. Put it in there.
I don't think that's gonna work.
Maybe one day I'll get a garage. Trying to get a barn dominium.
There you go.
You should get one of those condos across town.
Those aren't condos.
I mean, it's a condo. It's a garage.
The
with
storage condo.
Yeah.
It's hardly a condo because I looked into them and like it's more like room for a couch and a TV,
What more do you need?
a bed, washer and dryer, sink, maybe a kitchen.
You can put that downstairs.
Yeah, okay.
Put that down there with the race cars.
Yeah, with the race cars, my podcast studio.
What more do you need?
Wouldn't that be cool?
That'd
That'd be a cool backdrop.
That would be really cool. Trust me, I've thought about that. I'm like, well, like I was like, if I got a garage right now, what the hell would I put in there? I was like, well, I could at least start with this table, and then I could go from there. So
But I'm trying to get my my little Hyundai ready for Bowman Gray next year.
Oh man, Bowman Gray.
I'm dead serious. I'm taking that thing to Bowman Gray.
that sounds like fun.
I'm gonna go skid plate racing. You ever heard of that?
Stadium.
You ever heard of that skid plate
I
racing?
love it.
Bayley, you heard of that?
Yeah, I
They
think I've
weld-
seen it on Lucas Oil on the Edge before.
Oh yeah, they weld metal plates.
Yeah.
That was invented at Irwindale. In
There-
like
there
the
was a
early
lot
2000s.
of Lucas Oil on the Edge
That show
shows
is
that
goated.
were filmed at Irwindale, or like it was
Yep.
always a track in California. It was either
Yeah.
Wisconsin or California every single time.
Dude, Lucas Oil's on the Edge is goated. That is a show that got me into many motorsports.
Exactly. Like it. I remember coming home from school and I would watch. It was always Monster Jam, and then that show was right after Speed Channel. What a time! What a time to be alive! That
I'd
was.
wake up at like 5 a.m. to watch stuff on speed.
Really?
On speed. Yep.
I see. I can't even wake up at 9 a.m. to watch an F1 race.
Well, now well, hang on. You're talking about like 9-year-old Ryan here.
Yeah, I guess
who, like
you-
had
All
way
the
too much energy.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, like if you leave me unattended, I'll sleep until 2 p.m.
Yeah.
For sure. Did you guys see NBCSN has just done it at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's been known for a
brewing,
while. Yeah, that's been known. I remember there was a release like
yeah.
early this year about it, and then now it's like it's like confirmed. Like the date is December 31st.
Yeah, I was kind of bummed on it, but then I don't know. USA just doesn't seem like a very big sports channel, but like I guess back in the day they were. Like
Yeah.
I saw some broadcast stuff from way back, like with different action sports and regular sports on USA.
You used
not
to do the
just-
Do Tour all the time.
Yeah,
What?
yeah. The
Do Tour used to be on
skateboarding.
USA.
Yep.
Really?
And the
Well-
snowboarding stuff.
And also, if you think about it too, like USA, like it's on more TV packages.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. I
that's-
saw there's more viewers for USA than NBC.
Yeah, everyone's got to watch 15 episodes of Law and Order SVU every day.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, so now the way I see it is like you see all the comments like on the Facebook like of catch today's race on NBCSN, and like half the comments are people just like why blah, 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 I can't watch the race because
Yeah.
I don't own NBCSN. Blah, blah, blah. Now it's like okay, well now you can't complain.
Yeah, now you can't. And there's more. What is it? There's broadcast and cable. Broadcast is the better one, right? That's like
Broadcast is like local channels.
but it's like the ones.
Cable is what you want to be on.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, cable's because that means you're on one of like. The big
I know
three.
that there's more than there's been in a really long time
I
on
think-
the one with more
Yeah,
viewers.
there's 17 races next year on cable instead of 15 that there was
Yeah.
this year, I believe, which is good.
Yeah, I think it's all going to probably transfer over to streaming at some point.
See, I don't know because streaming sucks. I don't like it. Like I was trying to watch a truck race on the way to Martinsville, not very safe. Trying to drive. And
Yeah, but
watch-
I'm saying for
watch
people
a
at
race.
home, like pay $20 for the year, something
That's
like
true.
that, where you just have everything. Yeah, qualifying, practice,
That's true.
all that stuff.
Like I bought
F1
Track
app.
Pass.
Yeah.
I bought Track
I
Pass on
have that
NBC, and I was able to watch like so many ARCA modified
Yeah.
short track
Pinty
races.
series.
Pinties.
Dude, I will say
Those are wild.
When I was driving to Martinsville and I was watching that truck race, they went to an in-car camera during a wreck, and I literally like reacted because I had the steering. I was holding my phone like on the steering wheel like this, and I was like I reacted to the wreck while I was driving. Like, oh shit, I just ran over the road. But I'm bad about that. Not safe. I don't condone that. Don't drive and watch sporting events on your phone.
I mean, even when we were riding back from GoPro, we almost got into a couple.
That's because I was watching TikToks, which don't do that either.
Yeah, we love TikTok.
Yeah,
we're pro
TikTok is good,
here.
but don't watch it while you're driving. Probably.
Yeah, I don't TikTok and drive. But I remember like I did the same thing when we ran the summer Daytona race this year. Like when we ran at noon, and then they ran the Cup race like 3 hours later. I was like 2 hours from home and they started the Cup race. So I had my phone like on the radio thing. So I would just watch, like I would like be going on like freeway, take a look over. Okay. They haven't wrecked yet. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much the only thing that happens. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes Daytona's exciting. Just the racing part when they get like
the package
full wide.
is fun.
The package is fun. That's the
It's
only
fun to watch.
The Xfinity package, like I said, they don't really wreck that much, but I feel like it's almost hard. Like it's hard to get close to people.
Yeah.
You don't get the massive runs you get in a truck or a Cup car.
I remember when I was following you at Talladega and like there was like just a bubble.
Yeah, you can't like
couldn't burst it.
Yeah, I don't know how people do. Like at the end, it seems like all those big guys, like the lease motors, like whereas like we're like just fighting. My phone, yeah, whatever. Like we're just fighting to get to the guy in front of us. They can just like, go, okay, well, I'm just gonna push you now.
Yeah, I remember I went back and rewatched because every time I do like races, I'll go on like the content website and watch like onboards, and I watched Ross's onboard from the fall of last year, and there was a long portion of the race where we were all like the whole pack, like from first all the way to like 37th or whatever, we're in a train. Everyone, like there was no second group, all in a train, and Ross was behind me. We were running like 18th, 19th or something like that. I don't know, probably even worse than that, but probably like 22nd. But Ross is behind me, and he's just pedaling it. He's just cruising. And I'm here, first ever super speedway race. I'm like, oh my God, this is weird.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like even at Daytona this year, I feel like I stayed in the main pack for a long time because I was just scared, especially at the end of losing the draft in the final stage and going a lap down, which eventually bit me in the ass because I crashed. Yeah. But like I was doing everything I could to stay there. I was wide open the whole time, alternator switch on and off the whole time, covering the duct with my hand, trying to do everything I can to hang on.
I will say this, like having done like the super speed racing now, because again, this is my first year doing it. Like I've really gained an appreciation for it.
Yeah,
like
it's harder than it looks on TV.
Well, and it's not just that, but like I've kind of grown to like enjoy it.
See, I don't. I hate plate racing so much.
Really?
Yes. Maybe it's just I've never had a good go at it. That door on my wall, Talladega truck race crashed last lap.
Yep. The go no go on pit road.
Yeah. So
what year was that?
That was last year. So we were actually really good. We were in like the Chevrolet pack. I paid up with the Chevrolets. Gasman didn't get engaged all the way.
Oh,
and like I'm looking in the mirror. I'm like, okay, I was behind that guy and that guy, so I should be going soon. They drive by, and then he starts doing this. I'm like, all right, I'm going. And then I start to take off, and the crew chief's like, no. Or no, he said no when he started shaking his head. I thought he said go. So I'm going. He's like, stop. So then I managed to clutch it, keep it running, but then I lost that whole pack.
Luckily we did get a caution, though.
I did get a caution, but I was in the back. I think Johnny Sauter missed a shift. So I was just panic mode the whole last lap, trying to make something happen out of nothing. And then I
you
got
hit
in a
so
wreck.
hard you crumpled the roof.
Yeah, that crash hurt, and it shouldn't have hurt. It looks so not that bad, but that crash hurt. Like, I was like, they're like, "Are you okay?" Yeah, I'm fine.
I'll add to that. That's something that they didn't tell me in the brochure when you get in the big one. Is it hurts?
It does. Dude.
Like so that like the fall Talladega race this year. That was the first time I've not finished a super speedway from a wreck. Like I've kept like literally that's the same car that we took to Daytona. We changed nothing on it. Like all we did was take the wrap off, and then we used that same wrap. Mate X, shout out Mate X for doing super speedways. But I was riding in the back of, because it was like 23 to go or something like that, and I was following Jeffrey. Like I'm like all right, I'm gonna stick with my teammate, like stay with him, just chill where we're at. And I gave him about a car length of room, just because if they wrecked right in front of him, I didn't want to ass pack him. Yeah. And that was when Noah got turned from the lead when that big wreck happened. And so I see the wreck before it's even called out. So I'm just breathing it. Like I'm out of the gas.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden from behind, I just feel boom. And I'm like,
then you're
oh
down.
God. I'm facing the apron. I'm saving it. And then another car that was behind him, past him, stayed in
sense.
it. And I like did one of like the pendulum type hits where you go like
Yeah.
that, hit off his door and then went back up the track. And that's where the 78 was still coming.
Yeah.
And that's where he T-boned me on the right side.
That car got hurt. I saw that car.
Yeah. His car was destroyed. I think our car was fine. I think it's going to need, I mean, not fine, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it'll be fixed. But it was one of those hits that, like, that was the biggest hit of my career.
For some reason, those door bar hits, I think because they're so like well built, because they don't want them to collapse. When you get hit in them and they're so stiff, like you absorb all that. Because like that's what that was. I got squeezed into the wall. Like I went around the top, like they're wrecking down here. I'm like, I made it, and then like the 18 truck and the 26 truck are like, whoop, and I'm like, I can probably go low, and I hesitated. I should have just cranked it left and gone low
To the apron, yeah.
but I was like, no, I'm just gonna stay up here. And then I got in the gas again, so I was trying to beat them to the hole, and it just went boom, hit the wall, hit them at the exact same time, and it just squished the truck. Yeah, that one sucked.
But yeah, like that's one of those things about the big one though. Like it's not talked about how much that actually like kind of throws you around.
Yeah, no, when you're going, like you don't realize how much those cars get torn up there too. Like
Yeah.
people don't realize when like you don't crash a car lightly at a plate track. It is hurt every time. But well, I think it's about time to wrap it up. I forgot to turn the lights on in here, so it's getting really dark. So
Real quick, are we ready to announce 2022 plans? Anybody?
I'm not.
Not yet.
I'll announce mine.
You ask me every time.
I'm gonna go back to work, and I'm gonna go back to being a part-time pit crew guy.
There you
Sounds
go.
good.
Congratulations.
Congrats.
Hey, shout out to Nancy,
Yeah.
our former secretary. She
And-
listens to the show.
I appreciate you sharing the news. That's a big old stern bomb.
Yeah,
And shout out to El Dumperino or Dumplestiltskin.
Dumplestiltskin.
Because he loves shout outs.
He loves them.
So
That's his name.
that's it. If you got anything you want to like shout out socials or
Yeah, I mean, y'all could follow me on socials, RTRV on Instagram. I've been trying to change that name. I can't because Instagram's weird. Twitter, TikTok, and Twitch at Ryan Vargas _23.
awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I guess
That was a good one.
Yeah,
That was a
that
good show.
was a good one. Good one. We'll go ahead and wrap it up with the. Thanks, everybody.